drops in which direction? The sun drops in the wintertime, the sun drops to the south. Yeah. So you have to have a south-facing garden, right? Or in other words, towards the north, right? This is the east, so yeah, that'll be my north. So it would be on this side I would put it because the sun that's right here, right above me, in the wintertime is going to go down this direction. So I want it facing south, right? So that it can get as much exposure as it can. All right? Everybody's with me? No, just keep it over there. Just keep it over there. Okay, in the wintertime you talk about? Okay, in the wintertime, the sun is going to drop towards the south. Okay, so if you have your garden south, you're going to get very little sun. So you have to throw it out to the north so it can get southern exposure of the sun. You follow what I'm saying? You get more sun if you put it towards the north because the sun dropped to the south. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yes, because the earth is tilting, right? So you're going to get, the sun is really not moving, it's the earth, we know that. So the earth is tilting, right? So that's why the sun is dropping more towards this side. Yeah. Okay, not too close to trees, buildings to cover the sun. You need sun exposure, and because you also need too much obstacles around, if you can help it. If you have a small garden, just go and do it. Don't let this stop you, okay? But not around too many buildings and trees and all that because you want cross ventilation. If you have very little cross ventilation, then you're likely to get exposed to more diseases. You need that wind to come across, right? You need the air circulation, in other words. And this is why pruning trees is very important. If you have fruit trees, pruning them is extremely important in the wintertime when they're dormant. When they're asleep, in other words. When they're asleep, it's extremely important to prune them. Most plants, like I said, need about 6 hours of sunlight, good drainage, good circulation of air. Do not put a garden or trees where you know it's going to drown. And if for those who are looking for country property and you're going to move out of California to maybe a more wet environment, make sure you ask the realtor or the insurance company or anybody you can, even the neighbors, does it drain well? It's extremely important because if you buy a property that floods, you're in trouble. Right? You're in trouble. Well, flooded property is because also of poor porosity and poor capillarity. But there's ways to fix that too. There's ways to fix that as well. But it takes too long, so don't think you're going to fix it. Just don't buy it, right? All right. Land with a little slope, about 2% slope, okay, coming down. It's better with a little bit of slope, just in case you get a heavy rain and erosion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And not in the valley between two slopes. So you have a valley here, and you have a valley here, and you're right here in the middle. Why not? Yes, water, and what other reason? How about the cold? Is cold heavy? Yes, cold will come down upon that valley, right? Boom, and it'll sit there. It'll take very long for that frost to leave. Like we get a lot of frost over there during the winter times, so we cannot be right here in the valley because that frost is heavy. It's going to stay there. It's going to take the plants a lot longer to defrost, a lot longer. So you don't want to be in between two hills, all right? Close to water, and if possible, close to garden tools. Why? Because, okay, if I have my garden 1 block down, and my house and my water's here, sooner or later I'm going to give up. I'm going to quit. Because if I have to carry my buckets every day, this is too much work. I'm just going to give it up. So you might want to run the pipes, right? Run pipe. And there's a lot of people who know how to run pipes. There's a lot of brethren who knows how to run pipe. I'm talking to the women now, right? We need to help, right? Come to our school. Well, we'll teach you how to run pipes too. Well, that's what we're going to do. We got to run pipes to the back, about 400 feet of pipe. So if you have a pipe and you have water, you have a spigot right there, we have a water hose right next to your garden, it's going to be much easier, right? And close to your tools, so you won't have to be doing this. Oh, I forgot my spade. Come back. I forgot my gloves. By the time you do all of that running, the hot sun's going to be beaming on you, like, forget. So we try to be as efficient as possible. Let me tell you, farmers have to be efficient, yes.
What is the best time to put the water in the plant? In the morning or in the evening?
In the morning, early in the morning, yes. So you have to try to be efficient. This is very important. And I, working in construction, building houses, I mean, you have to be fast because they have a deadline, right? You know, working for this contract that I used to work for, remodeling, whether it was remodeling or building new homes, we had a deadline. We have to finish. We have to be efficient, right? This is why we have a tool belt. And I'm tool belt, I carry my nails, I carry my tape measure, I carry my hammer, my chalk line, I carry all these things, right? Because imagine if I only carried my hammer, walk back, or I leave my tape measure there, my hammer over there. That's not efficient. That's wasting time. They don't want you wasting time. They want you boom, 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 out of there. Well, the same thing works with agriculture, farming. You want to be efficient, not because you have a deadline, but because you don't want to be out there all day in that sun, especially if you go to Tennessee with that 90%, 95% humidity. You don't want to be out there in that sun all the time. You don't. It is, I mean, I drench. And I'm what they call in Spanish, flaco. All right? But I drench. I mean, I'm like, whoo. We have to stop by around 12 o'clock. We have to stop and then, get back out there later. All right. When and what to grow? Spring and fall, lettuce, spinach, broccoli, cabbage, kale, collard greens, beets, radish, green onions, cauliflower, and garlic, because they love the cool weather. These are cool weather crops. And there's others, too, like arugula. Anybody ate arugula? I like arugula. It's a little bit spicy, but I like it. Okay, but these are just some of these. The green leaf, the ones you're harvesting for the leaf, it's cool weather crops. All right? The summer stuff, you don't want to grow lettuce too much in the heat of the sun, in the middle of the summer. Why not? Because they'll bolt, right? They don't like the heat. They'll get bitter. Yes, they'll go to seed very fast. But I'm going to show you out there, if you do want to grow greens, which we do, we grow what's called spring mixed lettuce, just small lettuces that we harvest with a greens harvester. We just come with that green harvester, cut it all up, and it's about this big. Those are specialty lettuces that we grow. It's just really small and, just to sell. And so we use a shade cloth in the summertime to cover it. And I'm going to show you out there. I'm going to show you what you can use as a cover if you want to grow lettuces during the very hot summer, or spinach. Yes, but they still don't like the heat. They like cool weather. Yeah. So you have all these are the summer right here, all right? If you're going to move somewhere more north, you don't want to grow this on this side and this or this side. Now, most of our crops we grow in starters. We had a bunch of seed starting trays that we sell. Before we came here, we went to 2 camp meetings. Most of them are gone. We have very few left. These are the best seed starting trays that you can buy, in my opinion. They're very, very, very good. They imitate soil blocks. Anybody ever heard of soil blocks? No? Okay, soil block is you get a soil block maker and you're making blocks out of soil. And that's where you plant, a soil block. These trays imitate them. And now what's the so good about them? Well, when you're growing a plant, most plants in most containers their roots start going around and around and around, and they get what's called root bound. And they get stressed. They're much more susceptible to diseases, much more susceptible to the dying when they get root bound. They get stressed. And so when you transplant them outside, they're already stressed. So boom, here comes the bugs, here comes the diseases, much faster. With soil blocks, this does not happen. The root comes to the edge because you don't have a cover around it. It just stays there and it waits until you transplant it. Once you transplant it, boom, the roots come out. These soil blocks kind of imitate that. Not soil blocks, these trays that we have. We have probably, my wife's not here, so we probably have around maybe 20 left. They imitate that same soil block. They don't get stressed, so that when you take them out and you transplant them, they're less likely to get diseased. Yes. Okay, I get those at Never Sink Farm. Never Sink Farm. NeverSinkFarm.com. He sells them for $19 and change plus tax and plus shipping. It comes out to about $30 per tray. It's about $30 per tray. I'm selling them for $18 a tray, and there's no shipping. Never Sink. Sink. Never Sink Farm. It's like a 10 by 20. Yes, I'm selling them out here. I don't have too many. I have about 20 because I didn't expect the 2 camp meetings before we came here. Like I said, we had back-to-back camp meetings. I didn't expect them to be sold out that quickly, but they just whoop, took them. You know, that didn't happen before. So praise God for that, you know, and we have a little van, so we couldn't put a whole bunch of stuff in there, you know. That's a 4-cylinder van. That thing is just like oh, it's crying. It's saying, George, what are you doing to me? Because Probably one per family, probably. But I also have microgreen trays. I don't have the other ones I sold out, the hard trays, but I have the other ones because I'm going to show you how to do microgreens too. Because if you wanna move to the country and you're asking, what do I do? What job do I, microgreen business. It is excellent. You can make, listen, a lot of these people, some of these people, like Curtis Stone, the one the very top on the left, the one that I showed you, the smoke scale farmers, the man is making over $1,000 a week selling microgreens. Sorry. Microgreens. Say it again. Microgreens. MICRO/GREENS. Microgreens. Verdes. Microverduras. Restaurant, chefs, online, yes. Okay. Yes. Matter of fact, we stopped by, we went to LA before, when we left the other camp meeting, we went to LA because we had to go see my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, because she has breast cancer. So we went over there to go take her some herbs that she can take and do a few things, to help her out. And we bought some wheatgrass microgreens, and we told her to take a shot every day, a shot of microgreen wheatgrass. So they sell it over there, and they were selling it, the guy was selling the $5 per bag. All right, and I have a 10 by 20 tray. A 10 by 20 tray, you can get probably 6 to 8 bags. So think about it. If you get 8 bags times $5, how many are you making in one tray? $40. $40. And if you sell, let's just say you sell 5 of those per day. How much do you have per day? $200. $200 in one day. And if you sell it $200, let's just say times 3 days a week. How much do you have? $600 a week. Can you not live on that? Can you not live? We lived on less than that. Less than that when we were working at the farm. $600 a week. I got microgreen trays. Yeah. I don't have the hard ones that we sold out the hard ones. I had 2 boxes. They were gone. I didn't think that they were all going to be gone, but somebody bought some because he wanted to start a microgreen business. Microgreens are very easy to do. They're very easy. Messengers of God. Okay, weeds and what they tell us. Let's talk about them. Why are they called weeds? Can anybody tell me? Because they grow where we don't want them. That's why they're called weeds. Now, but let me share something with you. Most weeds are medicinal, right? Most of them are medicinal. Like, for example, we talked about the dandelion yesterday. Dandelion is excellent, right? Now, why are they growing there? Remember we talked about this. Because they're trying to do what? They're trying to bring back what was lost to the soil. They're trying to reestablish the condition of the soil, right? That's why they're growing there, okay? How many weeds are there in my soil? Can anybody guess? We had shirts like these two, a bunch of them that we brought, but the two camp meetings just disappeared. We wanted to. The reason why we're doing this, we're selling the trays, the shirts, and all of that is because, like I said, we want to be self-sustaining. We want to bring in the money so we can put it all into the farm and, start the school. We want to start the school. That's the whole idea and the purpose. But, and I say, thank you, Father, that you sold it. But then again, I say, well, I'm here another camp meeting and I have nothing. So I apologize. How many weeds are there in my soil? Can anybody guess? Whoever guesses is the first online for lunch. Okay, in a 1 foot by 1 foot square. Okay, 1 foot by 1 foot square. Can anybody guess how much weeds we have? 300? 304? Oh, 3 or 4 weeds. 1,000. Anybody else? 20. Okay, we got an auction going here. 3, 4, 20, 20. How many did you say, sister? 20. 1,000. 2,300. Okay. You want to know? You're all off. 1 million weed seeds. There are 1 million weed seeds per square foot of soil. That's a losing battle, yes or no? That's a losing battle. Most of them are dormant until we wake them up. Most of them are dormant. And I'm going to show you how when we cooperate with God, how weeds are removed. Can I get rid of my weeds permanently? Oh, can I get rid of sin? With Jesus' help, I can get rid of sin. Yes, I can. Can I get rid of weeds? What do weeds represent in the Bible? Sin. Can we get rid of weeds? Yes, we can. Oh, yes. Yes, we can. All right. Look, these are messengers. We have what's called here a marshmallow, plant. You have a lot of those? Okay. When I see a marshmallow growing in my garden, which we have a lot of, it's telling me there's high potassium. These are messengers. I'm not going to go out there and just yank it out. Oh, I hate you weeds. Stop growing here. I have to look at them and say, okay, God, what are you telling me through your messengers? What are you telling me? This is telling me. In the old timers, in the old days, and the old timers, they didn't have lab work. What they did was they passed it on from generation to generation. They studied what was growing there, the condition, and they passed it on to their children. Then their children passed it on to their children. This is the way they found out what condition the soil was in. Red clover. We have a lot of red clover over there in Tennessee too. It's telling me I have poor decomposition and poor fertility in my soil. In other words, it's saying I have bad gases. I can have ethane, methane, and formaldehyde when I see this right there because there's poor decomposition. And you know what? A lot of people who put compost in their soils, in their gardens rather, these start growing in there. You know why? Because a lot of compost is not decomposed properly. In order for you to have good compost, you have to have a 10-to-1 ratio. A lot of it is not. Most of the compost, even the compost that they sell, is just dried up material, but it's not decomposed material. This is why we have to be, another reason why we have to be careful with compost. We grow in no compost at all. All we do is just remineralize the soil. We don't add compost anymore. And it's working. And we have delicious vegetables. Have you ever tried a sweet broccoli? I mean, it's not as sweet as a strawberry, but even my boy was out there. My boy, when we were harvesting, my boy was picking the broccoli, just right there. Have you seen a child eat a broccoli just like that? No. Why do children hate vegetables? Because they're bland. They have no taste. God has made plants to be desirable, delicious to our stomachs, and palatable too. So when God created the plants for Adam and Eve to eat, He didn't create it bland and because they're supposed to be delicious. Our kale, in the wintertime, kale colors, because of the high temperatures, they put out more sugars, right? And so when we harvest our kale, they have that sweet taste. It's delicious. All right. Dead nettle. uh, that's also an indication, but that's also a good medicinal plant. But it's an indication of poor decomposition and poor fertility. Dandelion, poor fertility, and low calcium. So these are messengers. Before we rip out the messengers out of our garden, take a picture. There's an app that's called about the plants. Oh, it just left my mind. There's an app that identifies all the plants. There's a couple of them? Oh, but the one that I got in mind, what is it called? Anyway, just look under Google Plant Identifier app. You can take a picture with, I got Google Lens too, but you can take a picture of it and it will identify the weed that's growing there. And then you do your research, study out to see why is that weed growing there. And I'm going to give you a book too, a book to read. It's called Weeds and How to Control. No, I'll give you the book. I forgot the name. I don't know what that is. Mallow? Common here? Oh, yeah. I'm not familiar because we don't grow that. Yeah. There's a book that names a lot of these weeds. I'm going to share with you, okay? Just remind me. Okay, so we have bindweeds here. Anybody seen these bindweeds? Once they start growing, they just take over. They take over. The little white flowers, like a trumpet shaped, they look like yeah, like the morning glory, exactly. They're what? Purple. Yeah, they're purple too. Okay. This is how some professionals get rid of the bindweed. Watch this. We have here Karen White. She's a master gardener. Right? And she's also an instructor at home garden schools. So she teaches this lady. I'm not talking bad about her, not at all, but this is how they take care of the weeds. She teaches home garden schools, and she says use Roundup. Roundup contains glyphosate. That is a very, very deadly chemical. It causes cancer. And most of our food is sprayed with glyphosate. And she says, smother the plant with mulch. If you don't want to use glyphosate or Roundup, she says, smother it, put mulch up on top of it. Or she says, just pull up the weed by hand. I want to go to the root of the problem. What's the root of the problem? Look at what the root of the problem is. Low calcium, high potassium. I want to get to the bottom. Okay, what happens if then I start adding more calcium and I lower my potassium? Would that weed disappear? Yes, it will disappear on its own because it does not have the condition to thrive there. It will disappear. I'll give you an example. There was two farmers in Australia growing. One was growing naturally. I'm sorry. At the very beginning, both of them were conventional. Okay? Both of them were having problems with Canadian thistle. Both of them had serious problems, okay? Now, the farmer A, let's call him Farmer A. Farmer A said, you know what? When he found out these protocols, he said, I'm going to follow these protocols. 5 years later, Canadian thistle disappeared completely because he balanced out his soil. But Farmer B, the one next to him, it was just a fence that divided both of them. Farmer B decided to continue the conventional way. He had his hired hands go out there, dig up way down the Canadian thistle, dig way down in there, take them out, dug a big hole, put diesel, burned them, and then you know what happened days later? It came right back. The weed is telling you, learn a lesson. I'm here because I'm teaching you that the conditions are not right in the soil. The other Farmer A balanced out his soil. They never came back. No sprays, no herbicides, no pesticides, no nothing. They were gone. So if I see a bindweed and I know I have low calcium and high potassium, and if I address the problem, the core problem, the root of the problem, and I add calcium and I lower my potassium, what's going to happen to the bindweed? Disappear on its own. No more. We had a lot of dandelions in our beds. The beds that you saw, we had a lot of dandelions. Today, No dandelion grows on our beds. No dandelions at all, because we addressed the issue. That means they have, remember what dandelion means? Low calcium. Yeah, low calcium. Let's talk about auxins. Okay. What is an auxin? It's a hormone. It's a powerful growth hormone produced naturally by plants. You can see it right here, okay? These are the auxins. They come out right here. Right here and right here. I was reading an article, and I heard that it takes about 3 days to form a bad habit. But it takes about 3 weeks to form a good habit. Okay, that was an article that I was reading. Now watch this. These auxins right here, these hormones send out signals to the other weeds around it, in the vicinity, all right? Just around the plant. They send out a signal, this hormone, and they tell the other weeds and they go to sleep. Those weeds, and it's around the vicinity of this plant right here, just around right here, the weeds around it will go to sleep, will be dormant for 3 days. They'll go to sleep. But after 3 days, they'll start popping up. But you know, in a complete balanced soil, a healthy soil, you know how long those auxins last? 3 to 4 weeks. If you have a complete balanced soil, those auxins will put the other weed seeds around it to sleep for 3 to 4 weeks. Now, that's plenty of time for my plant to develop a canopy, right? And block out the sun around the soil, right? Plenty of time. But in 3 days, I don't have too much time, right? In 3 days, I got to be on top of it. Now, if you're doing this in your soil, you waited too late. You waited too late. You should not be yanking any weeds in your soil. We need to what's called cultivate, not weed. I'm going to show you how to do that with my best friend. I have my best friend in the van. I'm going to introduce you to my best friend. And I'm going to tell you about my best friend out there, okay? So when you get to this point, because by this point, this already produced more seeds. And those seeds are going to fall into the soil. And you're going to have a whole lot more seeds, weed seeds to deal with. You don't want to get to that point. So you want to cultivate. I'm going to show you what that is. All right, let's talk about the insects. We got 10 minutes. All right, slugs and snails. Remember what I told you yesterday? That means I have high phosphorus levels. How about these aphids? Have you seen these aphids? These little bugs. If you've seen aphids, then you've seen the ants going around them, protecting them. There are ants that go around them and protect them. Because these insects are sucking the sugars out of the plant, the stem, the leaf. They're sucking the sugars out. And what do ants like? Sugars. So they're going to go around them and protect them. They protect these aphids because they're feeding them. And the aphids like it. Okay, they like the protection. But here you are. Here's some. You see, even when we look at this and we say, oh, that's evil, that's mean. But there's always a give and take. Give and take. Give and take. There's always, right? That exchange, right? So aphids, what are they telling me? That means I have high free nitrates inside my plant. Most of the high soluble nitrogen that we put, if we put high soluble nitrogen, will create high free nitrates. That means if I have a high free nitrates, that means I did not complete the cycle of the nitrate converting to amino acids, the amino acids turning to protein. I did not have that cycle complete. So those nitrates in the plant, they're just stuck right there. They're just stuck right there. They're not going anywhere. And the insect knows that. And when the insect knows that, remember, I said the plants communicate, and I'm going to show you right now. Plants communicate with the insect on an infrared scale or spectrum, on an infrared spectrum. They send out messages to the insect. They say, come and eat me. The same thing works with our bodies, our cells. And we're going to talk about it. I don't want to get ahead of myself, okay? Have you seen this tomato hornworm? Oh, he loves tomatoes, doesn't he? He looks like a dachshund, right? A big, long, green dachshund. And then you have the cutworm over here. They love cabbage. They love all the brassica, The kale, collards, they love that. Construction of proper proteins in plants does not permit insects to eat the plant. Because remember what I said, the high-free nitrate is stuck there. It's not being converted to amino acids, being converted to protein. But when it is converted to the amino acids, as it is converted to the proteins, then the plant can protect itself against these insects. The insects are not going to eat it because these soft-body insects, we're not talking about the hard-body insects right now. Soft-body insects will not eat a healthy plant. It is murder. It is death for them because they do not have the filters that we have. If that tomato hornworm eats a healthy tomato plant, the plant will turn into ammonia inside of him and kill him. So they know better than that. They won't do it. They're smarter. But you know what they go after? These insects go after simple carbohydrates. Does that ring a bell? Why do we get sick? Simple carbohydrates, simple sugars. But if my plant has complex carbohydrates, they don't touch it. They do not eat it. If my body is being fed with complex carbohydrates, would the pathogens touch my body? Would they get me sick? No, they won't. Because they can't feed on that. And calcium, which we said it was the heavy hitters, the number one, calcium builds cell walls. So the cell wall on the plant goes thick. It starts getting thick, right? So, and that's responsible for cell division, cell membrane function, and cell structure. So when that calcium we have sufficient calcium because I said the number one heavy hitter, right? It builds that thick cell wall. Pathogens, which are going to come and try to bite their way inside, they can't because it has a thick cell wall. So pathogens can't penetrate inside there. They can't get the plant sick. And neither are they going to eat it because their food is going to be now ammonia, and they're going to be dead after a while. But now let's talk about the hard-body insects, the ones with the mandibles, like the Japanese beetles. Anybody know or heard of Japanese beetles? We got a lot of them over there. We got a lot of them over there in Tennessee, in the south, in the north over there, the east. There's a lot. And then you have the cucumber beetle, the locusts. They have the mandibles. They did a study, the scientists did a study to see what would happen if a hard-body insect with mandible would eat a healthy plant. And the locusts came. They brought in locusts, and locusts started eating the plant. You know what happened to the locusts? Their mandibles fell off. They could not continue eating it. They fell off. They had no teeth, in other words. Can you eat with teeth? Oh, you have to juice now, right? I'm not talking about, juice, right? Juice. But can you chew? No. Neither can, the insect's not going to go after the Vitamix and then juice, and the insects don't do that, right? So what happens then? They cannot eat anymore. So what happens to them? They die. Which explains to me, in a sense, Exodus chapter 8, I believe, which was the plague of the locust. I think that was Exodus chapter 8, yeah. The plague of the locust, remember? What did they do? Everything that was left by the thunder and everything else, they came and started chewing from the Egyptians, right? Which tells me that their plants were not healthy. Matter of fact, remember in Genesis 40-something, somewhere around there, when Jacob is returning to Egypt with Joseph. Joseph is bringing him to Egypt. Remember, to introduce him to Pharaoh. Remember the first thing that Pharaoh asked Jacob when he saw him? He said, "How old are you?" Remember that? And he said, "My days of sojourning is 120 years." Somewhere at 120, 130, somewhere around there. 100. Pharaoh must have been like, "What?" You know why? Because they've done studies, autopsies on mummies, and they found the same exact diseases that we have today. The same exact disease. And you know what their lifespan was in those times? It was in the mid-40s. So when he looked at Jacob, he said, "Whoa, you're old." So which tells me if their lifespan was in the mid-40s, their plants were not healthy. And this is why the locust ate him. So you see why it's important. And we're heading in that same direction. We're heading that same path, right? Remember, Revelation chapter 13, 15 to 17 says they're going to be slaves again. And I don't want to be a slave of nobody. I want to have my garden ready for that time, and no buy, no sell. All right. William Albrecht, the soil scientist I was talking to you about, right? He says insects are nature's garbage collectors. This is what we see when we see a healthy plant. Do you see any problems with that plant? No, right? There's no bug, nothing. This is healthy. This is what bugs see when they see a healthy plant. What do they see? There's nothing. So they won't go after it. They'll leave it alone. All right? But watch this now. I'm sorry, people were taking pictures. You want to take a picture of that? Everybody's ready? Okay. Now, what we see when we see an unhealthy plant, these are Japanese beetles right here. You see that? They're destroying that leaf. They're like with their mandibles. This is what we see when we see an unhealthy plant. You want to see what an insect sees when he sees an unhealthy plant? You want to see it? It's an invitation for them because the plant is calling them. This is what happens. Why? Plants and insects communicate on the infrared spectrum, like I was telling you. And plants that have high levels of ammonia, nitrates, and soluble amino acids show up on the infrared spectrum as a neon light against a dark background. That's why I said when you have high free nitrates on your plant, the aphids come, boom. It's like it says right there. It shows up on the infrared spectrum as a neon light against a dark background. If all this is dark and we put on neon light right there, what's going to happen? Our eyes are going to be attracted to it, right? That's what happens with the insect. So the insect goes straight onto it because of the high free nitrates or the high levels of ammonia or the soluble amino acids. As a matter of fact, look for some books by Philip Callahan. He's pretty deep. But I do suggest you read some of his books. You can get it on Amazon, Philip Callahan. He has some deep stuff in there. He was a researcher for the a science researcher for the Army, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for the Army or the Navy or one of those. I don't remember which one it was. But his job was to see how the enemy can not pick up, on an infrared spectrum, cannot pick up the enemy. So you know what he studied? He studied plants to find out. We can learn a lot from nature, huh? Okay, so plants can see the bugs can see unhealthy plants from a long distance. They'll pick up on it very quickly. So we transplant our plant, we go inside, we come out, maybe, the afternoon, we say, oh no, they're there already, the bugs are there. Because the plant called them. The plant is the one that's calling them. William Albrecht also said diseases are nature's demolition crew. All right? This is mineral deficiencies in plants. It's 12 o'clock. You want to stop? Okay. Well, I'm almost done with the PowerPoint, and then we can go outside. Well, I got about another probably hour, and then we can stop and go outside. So I think we can maybe stop here, and we'll talk about the mineral deficiencies in plants here, okay? Because these are also messengers here. These are telling them what's going on with the plants, okay? So why don't we stop here? Let us stretch our legs and go and get lunch, get ready for lunch, and then we'll come back here. How long? How long should we take? Well, I don't want to take too long because we still got to go outside, remember? But listen, let me please, do me a favor. Do not overeat. Because if you overeat, this is what's going to happen. It's going to be hard to stay awake. Yeah. So, okay, let's do this. Let's be back here. Let's be back here at, let's just say 12:40, okay? 12:40, all right? Let's have a word of prayer. All right, let us pray. Father in heaven, thank you again for your instruction, for your wisdom, for your incredible knowledge, Father, that you're sharing with us. Please continue to bless us, continue to be with us, Father. And as we take this short break, I pray that you may bless the food that is prepared for us as well. Bless the hands that prepared it, that it may nourish us, give us strength and health for your honor and glory. In Jesus' name, amen.